News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Beres here on a Tuesday. Good show on tap for you. We'll get the phone number up there in a second and invite you to join in the conversation as we talk Social Security. Yes, it's our regular monthly episode of Social Security and everything from SSI to whether or not you need a lawyer as you pursue an appeal if you've applied for disability, if you have questions this morning about your Social Security retirement, all of that, especially maybe in the new year if there's some new things to talk about. Now's your time to get through and talk to a living, breathing human being where if I pinch him, he would say, ouch. If I cut him, he would bleed. Yes, I'm talking about Josh Horn with the administration.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on. And here we are in the new year and everything. And I don't know, it's Social Security set up in such a way that there's not a radical change from month to month unless Congress does something. Is there anything that had taken effect into the new year that anyone needs to be aware of?
Not specifically. I know that usually somebody always asks about the cost of living. There was a 2% cost of living.
Would that have kicked in? Would they have started seeing that in their checks?
And so you should be started seeing that this month.
Okay.
So you hopefully will see a few more dollars this month in your check.
Thing is, that's easy to miss, 2%.
Yeah, 2%. It's a small amount, but
a few bucks,
little something. So depending on how much you get originally. And the other thing I usually like to mention too at the beginning of the year, it's a busy time. A lot of folks kind of pick December to retire, and then they go, oh, maybe I need to run in January and file for my Social Security retirement. So we usually see a pretty good increase of folks trying to file for retirement, which means a little bit longer waits, a little bit longer lines and things like that. So I like to remind folks that for a lot of you, going online may be the most convenient option. It only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to file for Social Security retirement online. Just jump on socialsecurity.gov and file for your benefits that way.
Is that all it really takes? If you decide with the documents you fill out online, 15, 20 minutes, really, that's simple.
If that, because all you're doing is you're saying, hey, this is what I want my benefits to start, and you double check your earnings record, make sure it looks good to you, and answer a few questions about your spouse and any minor children that you might have. And then after that, it comes right over, and we can get that, we'll give it a look over, and then we process it and get your benefits started.
Wow, so the question some people have, if they're not full retirement age, is it worth it to take early retirement? Or, you know, and that's neat. You can go on there and take a look, say, well, if I take it now, this is what I get a month. And if I take it here, this is how much more I get a month. And you can make, I guess most people, if they can afford to, it would behoove them to wait until they are full retirement. But there could be circumstances where there's very good reasons to take it early, correct?
Right, exactly. Years ago, we used to do these different calculations for people and how it would take 8 years, 10 years to break even and all this kind of stuff. But really, it comes down to how long do you expect to live? Do you need the money now, or can you wait? If you expect to live to be 100, then it's better to wait for sure, because you're going to take a permanent decrease, a permanent reduction if you take it early.
Right.
But you know what? If you're sick, if you have if your family history is you're shorter lived, you probably want to go ahead and get that money now so you can have that.
Yeah, but you'll look when you go online and see the difference, and it is substantial. You would think, wow, I wouldn't think there's that much of a difference by just taking it a little bit early. But yeah, we're talking in some cases it could be $1,000 difference a month, depending on how early you take your retirement as opposed to full retirement.
Yeah, usually about up to 30% is the difference.
30%. Yeah, I mean it's substantial. So those are things you can check out. I didn't know if anything else you wanted to hit on before we start taking phone calls. They're coming in. Was there anything new? I always,
Yeah, the other thing is a lot of folks are contacting us about 1099s that they didn't get it or they need it for taxes, but we can't provide any 1099s until February. So if that's something that you're looking for, you can call us, but I don't want you to waste your time because there's nothing we can really do until February in order to get your replacement. If you haven't received your 1099 form by then you can give us a call. Or even better, you can get online, you can create a My Social Security account, and you can print off a 1099 in the convenience of your home. Don't have to wait for us to mail it or anything like that.
It's awesome. All right, well listen, the phone line's open, and good people calling early, which is smart because it gets busy later, you can't get through, and sometimes it takes some time to answer these questions. They can be long and drawn out, but we'll do the best we can. So the number is 737-7587. Before we go to a break, why don't we take a couple of folks? And the first one in this morning was Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Good morning.
How can we help you, sir?
I got a auntie. She's 82 years old, and she draws Social Security, but she works. And I got a question: does she get when she file for taxes? Does she get all her money back at the end of the year?
Okay, yeah. So she's still working. She's 82 years old. She's drawing Social Security. And you're wondering, okay, she's got to pay taxes, of course, on the money she earns. It's not going tax-free. So maybe you can explain to him what happens when you continue to work later and you're earning money.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, no, there is no exemption from paying Social Security taxes. Everybody who works is paying into that Social Security trust fund, even if they're already drawing Social Security. And I know it may seem, kind of backwards or whatnot, but but they do continue to pay in Social Security if they're working.
The important thing to note here is we don't know, again, her work history. But it is possible, Mark, that if she's making money now, that this last year is more than she made maybe one of the years when she was working, then it interchanges and flip-flops because you get paid based on the highest.
The highest 35 years. So if you have
she could
somebody,
get more money.
If you had somebody who stayed at home, take care of kids or something for 15 years or so, and then they file for retirement, and maybe they've got a bunch of 0 years because they didn't have 35 full years of work, and if they keep working and paying in Social Security taxes, then that may actually end up increasing their benefits.
Yeah, so she could have her benefits increased if she's earning more in one of these years. And she's been, well, if she's 82, she's been working probably, full retirement for her was probably 63.
Exactly, yeah.
So she's been working for the last 19 years. And if any of those 19 years are more than her prior, that would boost up how much she would make in the Social Security check. But she will be taxed. Let's go next to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
I'm right here.
Yeah, hey, Michelle, go ahead. What can we do for you?
Hi, I've applied 7 times for disability.
Wow.
I had a bad stroke January 1st, 2010. I brought the new year in with a stroke. I couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't nothing. And I called, and they said that I couldn't get anything because I had 0. Well, I've done, like I said, I've applied 7 times, and I've got scars, on the side of my brain, and on my right side I can hardly walk anymore. But they're still saying, no, ma'am, you can't receive any. What am I supposed to do?
So
I'm married. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. So were you working before you had your stroke?
I was working at Logan's in Mount Juliet. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I've eaten there many a time. All right, so you had your stroke, and how old are you?
I'm 52 now.
Okay, and you've applied 7. Now, when you say you applied 7 times, I'm sorry, I like doing this. I've learned from you. When you applied 7 times, does that mean that you've applied, been denied, and appealed, and appealed, and appealed, and you're still in the appellate process?
I had to hire a lawyer, yes.
Okay.
I've got to go back to the doctor. My doctor's like, you shouldn't even be out doing anything. You're in pretty bad shape, and they keep denying me. I don't know what to do.
Why are they denying you?
Yeah, I'd kind of be interested to see what especially if you went all the way to the judge, what the letter says from the judge, and that typically that is kind of what explains the specifics in the situation. Generally, the only thing I can say without really looking into your case is again that the Social Security has a very, very strict disability definition, and that really gets a lot of folks, that it's 100% disability and it has to be expected to last for a year or longer. I know in certain circumstances, stroke victims, it's 100%. But they expect to be recovered within a year, or recovered enough to go back to work within a year. And so sometimes that gets, I don't know if that's your situation, because you said this has been going on for almost 8 years now.
Right.
So in that situation, you might be 80%, 90% disabled, but under the Social Security rules, it has to be 100%. And I've seen that get folks before too. And so that's a really tough situation. A lot of times we'll talk about hiring a lawyer, but you've already kind of gone through that process. Sometimes they can help out a little bit more. Again, if you don't have a copy of that denial letter from the judge, I would get a copy. Make sure you have a copy and read that very carefully. That may indicate something.
Do they sometimes tell you why they deny you besides just saying you don't qualify?
Yeah, there should be a letter letter at every stage describing, what the situation was. Hey, we looked at these medical records and the doctor didn't have sufficient documentation or evidence, or we didn't have sufficient evidence, or we felt like you could go back and do this job that you did beforehand, or I'm not saying this is your case, but I'm just saying in anybody's case they always send you a denial notice, and there's also a personal denial letter that talks about what they used and what their decision was and why they made that decision.
Okay. Listen, we have to go to the break, Michelle, but I would say this. The key is you have an attorney now who's obviously looked at this. Don't give up, okay? Part of it, too, is your disability may increase. I don't know, you may get worse with time, but follow what your attorney says, continue to apply, and just never give up. And, of course, if she does eventually get a benefit, they'll have to pay her retroactively to when she originally applied, correct?
Well, so if you apply and it goes through the judge, that kind of ends that segment or that appeal, and then you kind of have to start over.
Okay.
But you would be protected from when you started over. So if you called today and applied and it took you 2 years, then it would be protected back to today.
Yeah, and that's even if that's the case, just reapply. And we've done several calls with folks who have gone through, unfortunately, what you have. And eventually they get it if indeed they are deemed disabled. And when we come back from the break, maybe we'll lay out again exactly what is the definition of disabled, which no matter how you slice it is to some degree subjective, even though there are guidelines. We'll take a break. When we come back, Lucy, Linda, and others, if you're on hold, stay there. We've got some lines open. If we can help you, 737-7587. Give us a call for Josh and Social Security right after this.